Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. My name is Barbara Buck and I facilitate a website called The Happy Empath. And today we are going to be talking about empathic sponging. And if you've been an empath for any period of time and you know that that's what you are, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say sponging. What it is that when you are around somebody or you're in a situation that is emotionally charged, you not only feel what they're feeling, but you also retain it like a sponge. You absorb energy. Sometimes it's great because if you're around somebody who's really wonderful, you can absorb their energy, or if you're in like a new relationship or whatever, you can absorb other people's energy and it feels really, really good. But, on the other hand, if somebody's in a bad mood or they're really anxious or whatever, or you're around people who are very emotional, you'll absorb their stuff too, and ultimately you'll have the same issues that they have physically because you're picking up their stuff and it's become your own energy. It has literally assimilated into your field and is now yours. Congratulations. So a big issue in the healing community, in the spiritual community, is that if you Google empath abilities, you're going to see a million websites pop up talking about protection and talking about shielding. What the premise is that you create a little bubble around yourself or a different type of shielding to protect yourself from other people's energy so that it doesn't get in and you don't absorb it, or you ask your angels to protect you. It's all about the protection. The problem with that is that it's just a little band-aid. Does it work? Kind of, temporarily, if you're constantly focused on it, which is exhausting. And most people that I know, it kind of works, but for the most part, they're pretty much, they end up having to do all these rituals like cleaning themselves, doing sage or holding crystals to clear their energy or energy work or whatever it is. There's like a lot of healing practices that make a lot of money out of clearing energy out of people who have absorbed everybody else's stuff. So instead of putting a band-aid on things, we need to kind of go to the root, because if we continue to rely on protection, what we're doing is we are putting a victim mentality out there. We are saying that we are at the whim of other people's stuff and that we don't have control over our own space. It's very disempowering, and plus it's putting emphasis on something that's negative, and negative is not bringing more light onto the planet. It's just negative. And it's fear-based. And we just don't want that. We want to raise the vibration, and we can't do that if we keep focusing on the negative aspect of being an empath and protecting yourself from other people or other situations. And quite frankly, it's not necessary. And you're also doing a disservice to yourself and your community, because you have this gift for a reason, and it's to help yourself to evolve and to grow and to change. And it's also to help other people. So you're hobbling yourself if you're spending all your time trying to protect yourself. Shielding is just a temporary solution, and I think that it's better to not rely on it and to find other methods. So that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over 5 methods that are going to help you in the long term to become an empowered, skilled empath. They're just starting points, but when you get control of them, they can have a huge impact on your life. When I say skilled and unskilled, here's what I mean. Unskilled empaths are people who, there's 2 different kinds. There might be more than that, but 2 for the purposes of this video, this conversation we're having. One is a person who has no idea that they're empathic, and that is a lot of people on the planet. They just don't know that they're empathic. They don't understand why they feel like crap all the time, why they're getting sick all the time. They don't understand why they're depressed or anxious when there's no thought in their head that's causing it. There's also the second kind of people who know that they're empathic, but they feel that they are at the mercy of the energy around them and that they don't have control over it. You know, I also know some healers who really buy into this stereotype of the victim, you know, the empath as victim, themselves included, and they believe that being an empath is just something that you have to suffer with. So since you have to suffer with it, you know, they can help you to get rid of all this energy, but it's something that you're just going to constantly retain. You know, you've got holes in your field and you are a damaged person and you need their help. And I'm sorry, but I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but that is not an empowering thing, and it's ultimately not helpful. So skilled empath, on the other hand, is somebody who knows the difference between their stuff and somebody else's. So, you know, I can go into a grocery store and I'll feel a headache immediately. And a normal person would ask themselves, oh, why am I feeling a headache? Did I sleep funny on the back of my head? Am I having an allergy attack? You know, what's going on? But me, I want to ask, is this my headache or am I feeling somebody else's? And if I get a no, I'll say, is this mine? And I'll get a yes or a no. And if it's not mine, then I just get rid of it. If it is mine, then, you know, I will address it accordingly. But it's really good to know the difference, and it's actually like a key. So that moves us into our 5 ways that you can become a more skilled empath. The first way is, like I just mentioned before, the asking. You can do this in a really great way by making yourself a human pendulum. So unless you are, you know, clairaudient or whatever, and you have a really good way of kind of asking your guidance, you might have a better way, but this one works really well, especially for people that are just starting out. A lot of people use this as a pendulum. So you don't have to, you know, go to the grocery store, and if you get a headache or you start feeling depressed and you don't know why, you don't need to pull this out and try to figure it out. You can actually use your body as a tool. So what you do is you get your yes/no response. So give me my yes response. Okay, your body is going to move a certain way. Mine moves forward for yes. Then ask for your no response. And you can just wait a second. See, I automatically started going backwards. It's not a huge movement. Sometimes it is at first, but you get used to it. You can do it standing or sitting. So, yes, response. Mine's forward. No response. Okay? Yes is forward, no is backward. So now that I know what my yes and my no is, I can go out, and when something's happening, what I'm doing is I'm connecting with my higher self and my guidance to let me know, kind of bypassing my ego to let me know what's really going on. So if I go out in public and I get a headache or a stomach ache or whatever, I can ask, is it mine? Yes. Is it mine? No. Okay. There's lots of videos and things like that that show you how to use this. It's kind of a form of muscle testing or divination, if you will. But it's a really easy way to do it, and nobody's going to notice it when you're in public. And the more that you do it, you're going to become really comfortable with understanding what's yours and what's somebody else's. You're not even going to have to ask anymore, because you're going to start to feel the difference after a while. Sometimes I'll still ask, especially with the physical stuff, because when you have a headache, it's really hard to tell. For me still, some people are really good at it. It's hard for me to tell with the physical stuff, so I have to ask, because I'm a physical and an emotional empath. The second way, and perhaps the most work that you're going to have to do, and it's also the most effective, is creating healthy boundaries. And I don't mean energetic boundaries like making the bubble. I'm talking about relationship boundaries. So most people who are empathic don't have good boundaries with people. They've kind of lost some self-esteem. Sometimes it's because of their gift, or sometimes it's because of their upbringing. But everybody else's energy is more important than theirs. And usually everybody else's problems are more important than theirs. And there's not a good sense of self-worth there because they're so busy trying to kind of help everybody else and fix everybody else or fend everybody else's energy off. They don't have time to do the self-work that they need to do to become healthy and empowered. So most empaths that I meet who are kind of victimized by their gift and they suffer a lot because of it, it's because they don't have healthy boundaries. So it's important to ask yourself if you feel responsible for other people's stuff, for their emotional state or the state that they're in general, physically, whatever. Do you find yourself feeling responsible for other people's stuff? Do you, are you overly concerned with other people's opinions of you? Are you overly concerned with your opinions about somebody else? Do you have a hard time saying no? I mean, those are 3 questions that you can ask yourself, and if you answered any one of them, yes, you probably have some boundary issues and you need to address them and work on them. A really good thing to ask yourself is, why do you feel responsible for them? And then go from there. Because you're not. There are tons of good books out there that you can look at, and you can go to my website. I actually have a complimentary blog that I did to go with this video. So you can look at that, and it's got some good resources for you to look up how to deal with, you know, your boundary situation. There's a difference between barriers and boundaries. So like good, healthy boundaries are kind of like borders between states. There's no wall there. There's just a nice border. You know, you're now leaving Arizona. Welcome to New Mexico. You can see the difference. Barriers are putting up a big wall. So you can't even see what's going on the other side. And so I'm really referring to healthy boundaries where you can see the other side. You're not putting this big wall up. And that's what the protection thing is. Number 3 is becoming the ruler of your domain. I don't care how you do this. You are the ruler of your own kingdom, your own castle, your own energy field, and you have the right to experience only your own stuff and not anybody else's. As an empath, you're always going to have situations where you feel other people's stuff. It doesn't have to be brief, and you don't have to sponge it in, okay? So the first 2 things I gave you are going to help you to not suck in other people's energy, and this will also. So whether you get up in the morning and you pretend like you're putting a crown on your head, or you say to yourself, I am the ruler of my domain and I reign supreme. You can say that 100 times a day. You can write it on your bathroom mirror. You can, you know, put it as the screensaver on your computer. You can put stickies on your computer, on your phone, whatever you need to do. Say it as much as you can, because you are. And you need to start empowering yourself and reminding yourself of that. This is your space. What goes into it is your business, nobody else's. Their stuff is not your stuff. So stop doing that. Stop absorbing. Number 4 is body scanning. This is another thing that you can do first thing in the morning, I suggest, before you've accumulated everybody else's garbage, is when you get up in the morning, check in with your body and check in with your emotional state and see how you feel immediately without anybody else infringing on your space. Do a quick little body scan and see how you're feeling physically so that you know, I woke up with a stiff neck, or, oh, my elbow's sore, whatever, so that you know what your physical ailments are before you even get out of bed, and your emotional state is before you even get out of bed. So if you do start having different experiences, then you know that it could be somebody else's and you can ask. 5th and final is be kind to yourself. Empaths are notoriously cruel to themselves. They are constantly saying unkind things to themselves. They're hypercritical. And the kinder you are to yourself, the more powerful you are, the more loving you are to yourself, the more powering and empowered you are. You deserve that just as much as anybody else, and your emotional state is just as important as everybody else, and so is your energy. So I'm sorry this went a lot longer than I wanted it to, but I hope you got some good information out of it. If you'd like to know more, go to my website, thehappyempath.com. And you can also, I have a personal website for my healing work, which is barbarabuck.org. So it's www.barbarabuck.org. And thank you, and we will see you soon.